In this video, we'll talk about getObjectInfos wire adapter, and this adapter also comes from the UIObjectInfo API module. So as we have seen in the previous video, the getObjectInfo wire adapter we use to fetch the metadata of a single object, and we use getObjectInfos when we want to fetch the metadata for multiple objects in a single component. And it works in the same way, but this gives a freedom for us to fetch the metadata for the multiple object. The syntax is almost same except the adapter name. So the adapter name this time will be getObjectInfos. We'll pass that infos. Earlier we were passing the object API name with a single object. Now we are passing multiple object. So we are using the array bracket. So let's go to the VS Code and see how it works. We'll use the same code or the component that we used in the previous video. So this time first we'll import this getObjectInfos, that is our adapter name. Then what we're gonna do is we'll create a wire service. In wire we'll pass the getObjectInfos. Then we will call the object API name and we'll import another object. We can call it as opportunity object from @Salesforce schema / opportunity. So now we have two objects. Let's create another field called object API names and we'll map those imported object references here, and we'll pass this as a reactive property. There is a reason to pass it as a reactive property. There may be a chance the reference of account object is available first, and the later point of time we are getting the reference of opportunity object. It's always good to pass dynamic things as a reactive property. So we are passing it as a reactive property, and we can handle this using the wire as a function property. We'll say when the data comes, just check if data is there or not, and in the console can print data. And in the HTML, what we can do is we just create a card and we'll say the title getObjectInfo adapter and use a div with the class and leave that div empty for time being. So let's deploy this and see whether the data comes for the multiple objects or not. So I already refreshed the page. Now you can see the card is there. Let's go to console, and in console let's see the object that we are printing. Now it's giving us the two objects, one for account. Now you can see API name account. The second object is for API opportunity, and from here you will get the same metadata that we were getting using for a individual object using getObjectInfo wire adapter, but we are using here the getObjectInfos, so we are getting multiple objects basically. So let's go and use this and show on the screen the data that is coming. So we can store this data into a variable or the local property. I'll say object infos, and I'll store this in the this dot object infos equal to data, and we'll go to the HTML. And in the HTML what we can do is, if you see here, basically result is an array. So if something is in the array format, we can run the loop on the template. So here we'll run the loop. Now we'll say template for each, and we have the property object infos. Run the loop on the object infos dot result, and that is result, I guess. Results, you can copy the name results. Run the loop on this. Each item, we'll call it as obj object, and then what we're gonna do is we'll create a div and within this div we'll create another div. We'll say object API name, and we'll say obj dot result dot API name, and it's showing error because we haven't used the key property that is important for the for each loop. And we'll say this is our key name, or we can use the API name because API name will always be unique as our key. We'll copy this and we'll print the default record type as well, and for that also it will be under the result, and the time it loads, that time the object infos dot result will not be available, so it's better we use the if true directive as well. So we are telling run the loop only if the data is available in the object infos property. This is the local property we are using. Don't confuse with the adapter name. Adapter name is starting with get. So adapter name is getObjectInfos. Object info is the property that we are using to store the data that is coming from the wire adapter. So let's deploy now. It's deployed now. I refresh the page, and now you can see it's repeating 2 times. First object API name is account, then record type ID, then second object API name is opportunity, and the record type ID. So this is how we fetch the multiple data, metadata basically for multiple object, and for that we use getObjectInfos. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.